Hi Charlie, welcome to my 13th video polling experiment day where I break down and analyze the LinkedIn poll that I posted last week and that closed this morning. Today's poll question is one that had a very interesting results distribution that I honestly wasn't expecting. The question was, do you personally know any millionaires? Now, this question was designed to attract attention, at least more so than my usual polls, so I wasn't particularly surprised that it got an above average number of votes, aka 103 votes, when I checked last night. There were three answer choices to this question: yes, no, and I'm not sure. To be completely honest, I expected only 10 to 20% at most of the voters to say that they personally knew any millionaires, because achieving $1 million net worth is difficult. Even if inflation has somewhat eroded the value of a dollar, it usually takes at least a few decades for someone to accumulate $1 million net worth. You likely need to be a six-figure earner, or at least someone who earns a substantial amount of money, and you likely need to be investing that money over the long term and taking advantage of the long-term stock market gains. I don't know too many people who try day trading who become millionaires solely from day trading. But, much to my surprise, 63% of my voters said they personally knew any millionaires. Now, I don't know how these voters confirmed that the people they knew were millionaires. Perhaps they just saw that they had, very nice houses, very expensive cars, a high-paying job, a large 401k, something like that. I'm just not entirely sure that you can walk up to someone, even someone you know relatively well, and ask to see evidence that they actually have $1 million net worth. But I'm assuming that those voters made sound judgments based on the information provided, and that they didn't invade their associates' privacy too much to determine that millionaire status. So anyway, 28% of my voters said they didn't personally know any millionaires. Not surprisingly, those voters tended to skew a little bit younger, the voters who selected no, because I suppose it's harder to have millionaire friends when you're in your 20s and 30s than it is when you're in your 40s, 50s, and 60s, just because you haven't had as much time to accumulate wealth. And 9% of my voters said that they weren't sure if they knew any millionaires. This is the answer that I chose. Maybe I've been talking with some college classmates who come from multi-millionaire families, but I have absolutely no idea about it, because I'm not really interested in stalking them to their homes or trying to determine the value of all their assets via slightly nefarious means. So anyway, here are some interesting statistics about millionaires, just to put them into context for you. While some might think that there are only a couple thousand millionaires in the entire USA just because it seems like such an elusive financial status to obtain, there are actually 23.3 million millionaires in the USA, which, when you think about it, it kind of makes a lot of sense. We're not just talking about celebrities like LeBron James with multi-million-dollar annual earnings. We're also talking about the white-collar professional who's been saving and investing for 50 years, and when they retire, they have a decent nest egg of one and a half, or $2 million. That person is still a millionaire, even if they're not necessarily flaunting their Lamborghinis on TikTok or Instagram. Also, the top 1% of Americans, in terms of wealth, have a $19.6 million average net worth. Now, this figure is obviously skewed by the number of billionaires, people with even higher net worths than $1 million. But compared to the bottom 50% of Americans in terms of wealth, the bottom 50% have a $34.3 thousand average net worth. So it's kind of interesting to compare just how wide that disparity is, just in terms of raw numbers. Now, obviously that bottom 50% does include, say, college students who are majoring in high-paying fields like engineering or medicine, but who aren't necessarily earning a high income right now, but they might be doing so in the future. So it's important to remember that those numbers don't necessarily account for all of the nuances of individual situations and particular groups. Also, 128,000 American millionaires plan to relocate in 2024, And a lot of these individuals were likely looking at countries such as Switzerland, Greece, Italy, Portugal, Spain, and Singapore, which specifically created low tax programs to attract wealthy expats to their countries. So, Charlie, I know that you don't personally know any millionaires, and I mean, I could have encountered some in my daily life, but I would never know it. But I hope those stats and the poll gave you some insights into the preponderance of millionaires in the USA and how millionaires are somewhat more common than we might think, even if they're not necessarily flashing their gold chains or Lamborghinis or expensive houses or pricey vacations on social media. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed that little millionaire recap, and stay tuned for my 14th poll analysis tomorrow. Bye, Charlie. Have a great day.